Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams to all the devotees. Hare Krishna, Ashok Gaur Prabhu.
Dandavat pranam Prabhu.
Pranams to you. So, take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you for this Nityam Bhagavata Seva. So today, class will be given by His Grace Ashok Gaur Prabhu. So Prabhuji, thank you so much on behalf of the team, welcoming you to the forum and also requesting you to go ahead and then share the nectar. Prabhuji, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
So let me know if you want me to share the verse or anything like that. I'll be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, you can share the rows 5, 7, 12. Yeah.
Sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa kada mahyam dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girimit kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramanandamahavam Shri Chaitanamishwaram Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from 5.7.12 of Srimad Bhagavatam. I seek the blessings of all Vaishnavas assembled here. So this is in the prose format. Tayetham avirata purusha paricharyaya bhagavati pravardhamana anuraga bharadruta hridaya shaithilya praharsha vegenatmanya udbhidyamana romapulaka kulaka औत्कंठ्य प्रवृत्त प्रणय बाष्प निरुद्धाव लोकनयन एवं निज रमणारुण चरणारविंदानुध्यान परिचित भक्ति योगेन Paripluta Paramalhada Gambhira Hridaya Hridav Agadha Dishanas Tam Api Kriyamanam Bhagavat Saparyamna Samsa Sasmara. I'll go to the translation and purport. The most exalted devotee, Maharaj Bharata, in this way engaged constantly in devotional service of the Lord. Naturally, his love for Vasudeva, Krishna, increased more and melted his heart. Consequently, he gradually lost all attachment for regulative duties. The hairs of his body stood on end, and all the ecstatic bodily symptoms were manifest. Tears flowed from his eyes, so much so that he could not see anything. Thus, he constantly meditated on the reddish lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, his heart, which was like a lake, was filled with the water of ecstatic love. When his mind was immersed in that lake, he even forgot the regulative service to the Lord. Purport. When one is actually advanced in ecstatic love for Krishna, 8 transcendental blissful symptoms are manifest in the body. Those are the symptoms of perfection arising from loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Maharaj Bharata was constantly engaged in devotional service, all the symptoms of ecstatic love were manifest in his body. Hare Krishna. So, we are seeing this episode of the duties of Maharaj Bharata. So, after he takes over, after he is married to the daughter of Vishwarupa, I think, Panchajani, and then he has children, and then he performs his kingly duties very perfectly. And it is also mentioned that he enjoyed the material opulence which he had inherited from his father, Rishabdev, who inherited himself from, King Nabhi. So Bharat Maharaj enjoyed that material opulence, it is said 1,000 times more for 10,000 years. And then after that, not only that, he performed all the household duties of performing yagyas like Agnishtoma, Vajpaya, and so many other yagyas. And even when performing the yagyas, when the demigod names were being taken and oblations were being offered in the fire, he only remembered the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, because the demigods are nothing but they are non-different from the limbs of the Supreme Lord. So it was the oblations which were being offered to the limbs of the Supreme Lord. So he was very clear in his destination. And finally, when the time came for him to retire, it is said that he gave up his kingdom, his wife, children, everything else, just like, somebody would, leave behind stool. Malavat iva, the word malavat iva, it is mentioned. So he was so renounced that he simply gave up everything. He goes to the Pulaha ashram. So Pulaha is one of the sons of Brahma, but Pulaha ashram is a big area. Earlier, hundreds and thousands of rishis would come together and stay in one place. And this Pulaha ashram was a seat for many rishis and munis to meditate there. So he comes on the banks of Gandaki river at Pulaha ashram to practice his spiritual life. But although he is around Pulaha ashram, he continued to be in seclusion because he wanted to practice meditation in seclusion on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So But Bharat Maharaj, he goes through this symptoms, the symptoms of ecstatic love, which is mentioned here. As Bhagavatam says, Evam vratasva priyanama kirtya jatanurago drita chittamuchay hasatyatho rodati rauti gayati unmadavat nrityate pilokavahya. So the symptoms of somebody who is in a very advanced stage, he experiences evam vratasva priyanama kirtya, when he takes the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Jatanuraga, he has intense attachment. Dhrita chitta uchay. Then with a very loud voice, with uchaswara, then what happens? Hasatya, hasatyatho rodati rauti gayati. He laughs, he cries, he smiles, he shouts, he runs around. Unmadavat nrityati api lokabahya. And also he dances like a mad person without considering any social etiquette. So that is how Bharat Maharaj was. And he was experiencing all these Ashru, Bashpa, then Pulaka, Kampa, Sweda. These are all the symptoms of ecstatic love. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced much more than all of this. But at least somebody who's in the bhava stage, as it is mentioned that Bharat Maharaj was in bhava stage, one step closer to attaining love of Godhead. So he could experience all of this. The same symptoms were actually experienced by Narad Muni also. Narad Muni in the Bhagavatam, first canto, it is mentioned, Namanyanantasya hatatrapa pathan guhyani bhadrani kritani cha smaran Gam paryatam chatushtamanagata spraha kalan pratiksham vimado vimatsaraha. The same symptoms are mentioned. Namani anantasya, when he was chanting the unlimited holy names of the Lord, it is said that hatatrapa pathan, he gave up all shame or all social, so-called social etiquette of, behaving very well, trying to be, appear very normal and decent. No, he gave up all that hatatrapa, gave up all shame in chanting the holy names of the Lord. And then guhyani bhadrani kritani smaran. So this is all auspicious. He was chanting, he was remembering the Supreme Lord, and he was traveling everywhere. Gam paryatams. Gam paryatam is traveling the earth. Gam is earth. Gam paryatams tushtamanagata spraha. He was completely satisfied at heart. And gataspraha. He was free from all material desires. Gataspraha is nothing but excessive material desires. So he was free from that. And not only that, he was also waiting for what? Kalam pratiksham vimado vimatsaraha. He was waiting for that mercy of the Supreme Lord to have his vision, to take his shelter, and in the mood of vimado, without any pride. Mada is pride. Vimada is nothing but without any pride, and vimatsaraha, without any envy of any living entity. So that way, Narada also, just like Bharat Maharaj, gave up all shame without any social etiquette. They were ecstatic in the symptoms of bhava stage. Actually, from this stage, Bharat Maharaj has a fall. So we know from the scriptures how there are different stages: adho shraddha, tata sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti, nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava. So these are the 9 stages of advancement in bhakti. And Bharat Maharaj was in the stage of bhava. And we can see, what the symptoms are here. And from there, he entered into the body of an animal. So when basically Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, talks about 4 types of bhakti. We have this Samanya Bhakti, and then we have Sadhana Bhakti, and then we have Bhava Bhakti, and then we have Prema Bhakti. So in the Sadhana Bhakti also, there are 2 types. One is the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, and the other is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So someone who has some little faith, who comes to Krishna consciousness, he is beginning with Samanya Bhakti, and then his Shraddha increases with Sadhu Sangha. And because of that Sadhu Sangha, now he is very eager to take shelter of a spiritual master, and then he begins his Bhajana Kriya. So in the Bhajana Kriya, it is mentioned there are 2 types of Bhajana Kriya. There is Anishtata Bhajana Kriya and there is a Nishtata Bhajana Kriya. Anishtata means there is no nishtha, there is no determination. It is very weak. So it is called as Anishtata Bhajana Kriya. In fact, we all can gauge ourselves, where we stand. So in Anishtata Bhajana Kriya, there are 6 symptoms actually. One is Utsahamai, then there is Ghanatarala, then there is Vyuda Vikalpa, then there is Vishaya Sangara, then Niyamakshama, and then finally there is Tarangarangini. So Utsahamai is a person is very, very enthusiastic, over-enthusiastic to the extent that, when he begins his Bhajana Kriya, he feels that, I have become a pure devotee now, and he'll go around criticizing everybody. He will say, he'll criticize even his parents, you are all fools, you are worshipping demigods, throw the demigods from the house, you don't know Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and this and that. So the enthusiasm is over enthusiasm. He's immature, but he thinks that he knows everything now, just because he had some 6 months of association of devotees. Now he thinks he becomes more advanced than his parents or anybody else. So he overreacts. He's over enthusiastic. So that is the symptom of Utsahamai. It is Utsaha, but it appears like Utsaha, but it is not. So it is Utsahamai, just like Utsaha. Then there is Ghana Tarala. Ghana is like condensed, and Tarala is nothing but thin. Condensed and thin. Just like buttermilk is thin, and ghee or butter is thick. So this symptom of Anishtata Bhajana, Ghanatarala, is representing, sometimes we are very, very eager to practice bhakti, and, the whole day and night, sometimes we may engage in some reading or hearing or chanting or in some kirtan or whatever. And suddenly for a few more days or for a few couple of days, we want to take rest. We become very bored, we become very disturbed. So this is called as, the crests and troughs of bhakti. So it is not nishtha, it is not stable, it is ups and downs. So sometimes we are very eager, sometimes we are not eager. And this happens in the beginning. So in the beginning, we are enthusiastic, but at the same time, we also lose any taste or any interest to constantly, do it. So that is Ghanatarla. Then there is this anartha of Vyuda Vikalpa. Vikalpa means kalpana, trying to imagine. Although we are reading the scriptures, but we are not fixed in understanding of the tattva and siddhanta. So in this, we tend to imagine that, maybe I should do this, maybe I should give up my home, maybe I should go away, far away to Vrindavan, I should practice. Maybe I should enter a grahastha life. Sometimes I feel maybe I should become a brahmachari. Initially, I'm sure, those devotees who came in touch with Krishna consciousness in the beginning days of their life, before their marriage, they always had this doubt or confusion as to should I enter grahastha or should I go to into the brahmachari ashram, or at least we are very appreciative of brahmachari ashram and we want to become a brahmachari sometime in the future. So these thoughts come. So there's nothing wrong. It is true, but it is in an immature stage, because we cannot choose our ashram, because automatically through the potency of bhakti itself, one develops renunciation. By renunciation, we cannot go and do bhakti. Only through bhakti we can actually attain renunciation. So that's how it is. So that confusion is there, what I should do, what I should not do. So it is called as vyudha vikalpa. Then we have not yet, these are not even anarthas. This bhajana kriya, anishtata bhajana kriya means there is no steadiness at all in this bhakti. We have just begun bhakti. That is the meaning of this. So after this vyudha vikalpa, there is a vishaya sanghara. Vishaya sanghara is nothing but sangharsh. Sangharsh with vishaya. It's like there is a constant endeavor or fight with trying to avoid sense gratification, sense gratification or breaking of regulative principles. We take a vow, oath, saying that from tomorrow I will not engage in this sense gratification or that, and then we finally end up breaking it. So we are not very steady. Sometimes we are able to control, sometimes we are not able to control. So hundreds and thousands of times we tend to break some rule, or we tend to engage in some sense gratification which we are unable to give up because of our intense attachment. So this is considered as Vishaya Sangara. It's a fight for the object of senses. It is called Vishaya is nothing but sense object. So it's a fight of sense gratification. Then the fifth one is Niyama Kshama. Niyama is nothing but rules and regulations of bhakti, like waking up early, chanting 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, reading, hearing, all of these are niyamas. So niyama, akshama. Kshamata is ability, but akshama means no ability to practice the niyamas. So this is also one of the anishtata bhakti, where we take a vow saying that tomorrow I will chant 32 rounds for Ekadasi, or from tomorrow I will read 1 hour of Bhagavatam or something like that. But we are unable to do it. It becomes difficult. So we take vows, but we are unable to keep it because we don't have that strong determination in the beginning. So we end up breaking it. So that is why it is called as niyama akshama. Akshama means no kshamata. And the last one is tarangarangini. Tarangarangini is nothing but floating in the waves, taranga, floating in the waves and enjoying the waves of the initial devotional service. And it is considered that the puja, labh, pratishtha, which comes along with the practice of bhakti, which automatically comes, they are actually the weeds. They are the weeds in the bhakti. And anybody who enjoys, who relishes the benefits of Taranga Rangini is an illusion. Taranga Rangini is like you get fame, recognition. Oh, he's a great Bhagavatam speaker. Oh, he's a great Kirtaniya. He is a very great pujari, or he's the best devotee. Oh, he takes care of all these things. You get so much of glorification, praise, so much of respect. Although what is your level of bhakti, nobody knows. Only Guru and Krishna knows, and you yourself will also know. We ourselves will also know, but still accepting that puja, labha, pratishtha as a result of my own bhakti, and considering that I am practicing bhakti properly, is nothing but it is tarangarangini. It is anishtata bhakti. So we are in that illusion. So after this anishtata bhakti comes nishtha bhakti. But before we enter into nishtha bhakti, there are so many other anarthas. So these anarthas are of 4 types. They are bhaktiyot anarthas, dushkrutot anarthas, sukrutot anarthas, and aparadot anarthas. These anarthas are arising out of four different things. One is Sukrutot Anartha. These anarthas are arising out of the pious activities that we have performed. Because of the practice of pious activities, we have expectations that, I should be materially well off, or I should be opulent, I should be comfortable. Without this comfort or opulence, it is impossible for me to practice bhakti. There is some level of comfort that is needed. Basically, I desire heavenly comfort. Only then I can practice bhakti. So this is Sukritothanartha. And also the symptoms of these include, trying to help others, trying to do social service activities and things like that. Then there is the Dushkrutothanartha, which is inclinations or tendencies which come because of previous sinful activities. So previously, for unlimited lifetimes, we may have committed so many sins, and our inclination to commit further sin is also there. The seed of committing sin is not gone. So this dushkruta anarthas force a person engage in sinful activities. He likes bhakti also. He likes association of devotees also. He likes the Supreme Lord, but he has also a tendency to commit sins. The sins are also of various types. So sin is predominantly having the emotion of greed, anger, hatred, and things like that. So he commits sinful activities. Then there is Bhakti-ot-Thanartha. Bhakti-ot-Thanartha is very similar to this Tarangarangini, where you have, puja, labha, pratishtha as a symptom of practicing bhakti, which automatically comes. And we are, basking in that glory. So these are anarthas arising out of bhakti. And there is aparadha ottha anartha. So those anarthas which arise out of aparadha, mainly the nama aparadha. So there is, of course, seva aparadha, dhama aparadha, and other things. They are not so much critical because they can be overcome. But the nama aparadhas, beginning with Vaishnava aparadha and Guru Ninda and other things, these nama aparadha, they mainly constitute this aparadhottha anarthas. And these become the most difficult stumbling block in the practice of our bhakti. One can never overcome them even up to the stage of prema. That is what is mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini. So these four types of anarthas, which we see in anartha nivritti stage. By the way, anartha nivritti, the word nivritti means getting rid of anarthas. So these four types of anarthas are removed over a period of several lifetimes if we are casual. But if we are very careful, it can be removed within 1 or 2 lifetimes. And to get rid of these anarthas, anartha nivritti, the removal of anartha is also of 5 stages. These stages are there are technical names for it, like Ekadesha Vartini, Bahudesha Vartini, then there is Prayaki, then there is Purna, and then there is Atyantiki. These are the 5 stages. For example, the first stage, which is called as the Ekadesha Vartini, it means only 25% of our anarthas are removed. And then there is the Bahudesha Vartini, where 75% of our anarthas are removed. And the third is Prayaki, where 99% of our anarthas are removed. And there is Purna, where 99.9% of our anarthas are removed. And there is Atyantiki, where 100% of our anarthas are removed. Now, where do these come? Actually, Anartha Nivritti, after Anartha Nivritti, we have Nishtha. But there is this overlapping of the stages. So Anartha Nivritti begins from Bhajana Kriya and it goes all the way till Prema. So Anartha Nivritti is overlapping the other stages also. And Bhajana Kriya also there is nishtha and anishtata bhajana kriya. So bhajana kriya is also overlapping anartha nivritti and the stage of nishtha. That is how it is. It is not like a fixed stage where, after you overcome that, you cross it, there's a next stage. No. Even in nishtha, ruchi, asakti, bhava, anartha nivritti is going on. So that way, this 25% of anarthas are removed in the stage of anartha nivritti itself. But when we come to the stage of steady devotional service, where we are fixed, there 75% of our anarthas are removed. And we are completely fixed. And then there is the stage of ruchi, asakti. These stages, the 99% of the anarthas are removed. This stage is called as prayaki. Prayaki is spread across nishtha, ruchi, asakti. And then there is this bhava stage where it is 99.9% of anarthas are removed in bhava stage and also in prema stage. It is 99.9. Then where is 100% removed? 100% of anarthas are gone, completely gone, only in Goloka Vrindavan, not in this world. So it is made so difficult actually. And this what do you call yeah, so these are the 5 stages of the anartha nivritti. Very difficult. If we are basically, when we are very casual, it becomes very difficult. So this anartha nivritti removes only 25%. And then when we overcome 25% of our anarthas, we enter the stage of nishtha. Nishtha is considered as half liberated, basically, because we have overcome all the gross anarthas and we still continue to hold a lot of subtle anarthas. The symptoms of nishtha, basically, when I say, there are 4 types of anarthas: sukritot anartha, dushkritot anartha, bhaktiot anartha, and aparadot anarthas. How do they manifest? What are the symptoms that, a person is having sukritot anartha, dushkritot anartha, or aparadot anartha? The symptoms are mentioned in the bhajana, in the nishtha stage, where it is mentioned. These are represented by. It is symptomatic. These anarthas are represented by laya, which is laziness or sleep. Then there is vikshepa. Vikshepa is nothing but distraction or inattention. Then there is apratipatti. Apratipatti is nothing but having no taste for hearing, reading, or chanting, or whatever. Then there is the stage of not stage, but there is a symptom of kashaya. Kashaya is nothing but inclination to sinful actions. And then finally there is rasaswada. So rasaswada is nothing but it is an inclination to sense enjoyment. So these are the 5 symptoms of the 4 anarthas which we spoke earlier. Unless we do not overcome these 5 symptoms of anarthas, there is no question of practicing nishtha bhakti at all. It's impossible. One can easily gauge in what stage we are in. We don't need another devotee. We don't need anybody to tell us where we are. We can simply gauge ourselves by looking at these 5 symptoms. So laya is nothing but laziness or sleep. So this sleepiness, of course, when we are practicing bhakti, when we are chanting, say, for example, we feel sleepy. There could be many reasons. Like if somebody is very tired because, the previous day there was a big festival and the whole day and night, we were working hard and you're very tired. So the next day, when you're trying to chant, you feel very sleepy. This is not that type of sleep that they're talking about. There is also another sleep where, if you have not cleansed your stomach, you are having constipation, you will feel sleepy. This is not that type of sleep. This is that sleep where you are regulated, but your sleep, you have had sufficient sleep also, but when you try to chant, you feel sleepy and lazy. This is that type of anartha which is being spoken about. This is because of previous aparadhas, previous sukrutotanartha, dushkrutotanarthas and aparadhas that we have committed, that we have lost taste in chanting of the holy names, and that induces sleep. So this sleep, when you pick the chanting bag, chanting beads, and when you start feeling sleepy, it is a clean sign of anarthas or aparadhas committed in the past. Of course, it doesn't mean that the sleep which is induced by not cleansing of our stomach, or because of tiredness, those are also obstacles, but those obstacles are not that serious. But this sleep which is induced because of aparad or because of sins committed in the past, where we lose taste, so that is represented by this laya. Actually, His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj mentions that even if there is a sannyasi, if he is feeling sleepy while chanting, when everything is normal, when he had sufficient sleep, then he is having anarthas. He clearly says that, something like that. So we can, can easily understand, if we have the symptom. I know that I have this. So I'm sure we all can relate. Then the second one is Vikshepa. Vikshepa is nothing but distraction or inattention. When I feel sleep, I can only chant if I can see WhatsApp simultaneously. I can only chant if I am able to see WhatsApp simultaneously. If I am only chanting, I cannot chant. It's impossible. I need to be distracted. I can only chant if I am also simultaneously talking to somebody. Or I can only chant if I'm walking in the park. Walking in the park is what? Complete distraction. You're not closing your eyes. You're seeing everything. So this is known as Vikshepa. Vikshepa is complete distraction. And then, we are trying to chant the holy name. Because I cannot sit in a place and I cannot chant. Then there is the third symptom called as Apratipatti, which is no taste for hearing or reading. We are practicing devotional service, we are trying to chant, we are doing, but we don't have any taste for hearing or reading. We have all the time in the world, we have all the money in the world, but I have no taste for hearing or chanting or reading. That is apratipatti. That taste is lost because of the anarthas and aparadhas that we have committed in the past. It's gone. Then there is a kashaya. Kashaya is, as I said, inclination towards sinful activity. And then the last one is rasaswada, which is inclination towards sense enjoyment. Unless we do not overcome these 5 symptoms of the different types of anarthas, there's no question of nishtha. So anybody who's in nishtha, we can identify. They are able to, practice devotional service, chanting, reading, hearing, without any sleep, without any distraction, very fixed. That is why the stage is called as fixed stage, steadfast stage, stage of nishtha bhakti, nishtha bhajana kriya. So that's how it is. Then after this, of course, even within nishtha, there are different, I don't want to go into more details, but nishtha stage also has, 2 types of nishtata bhakti. One is called as Sakshat Bhaktir Vartini. It is like by your body, mind, words, you're fixed in practicing of devotional service. Nobody can disturb you. You're so fixed with your body, mind, words. So that is called as Sakshat Bhaktir Vartini. So you're directly able to practice with your body, mind, words. And there's the second type of Nishtha Bhakti, which is called as Bhakti Anukula Vastur Vartini. Only if there is a Bhakti Anukula situation, then I'll become Nishtha Bhakti. I am able to practice Nishtha Bhakti. For example, Only if I go to Vrindavan, I'm able to chant 64 rounds. I feel blissful. That means my Nishtha Bhakti is dependent on Bhakti Anukula Vastu Vartini. I need a Vastu which is Bhakti Anukula. Only if my house is close to the temple, then I will be able to practice deity worship properly, or else I'll be disturbed because I cannot travel if I am far away. So this is uh, reasons. These are bhakti anukula vastu. So only if my situation is favorable, then I am able to practice Nishtha Bhakti. That is one type of devotees. But there are devotees who are Sakshat Bhaktir Vartini. They are not disturbed even in any situation, and with body, mind, words, they're easily able to practice Bhakti. So this is the stage of Nishtha. And then there is a stage of Ruchi. In the stage of Ruchi also, there are two types of Ruchi. One is called as Vastu Vaishishtya Apekshini, and the second type of Ruchi stage is Vastu Vaishishtya Anapekshini. So, Vastu Vaishishtya Apekshini, it means when I have the dependence on the excellence of elements, then I will be able to practice the stage of Ruchi. Actually, what is Ruchi? Ruchi means taste. It is excessive taste where a devotee can practice devotional service 24 hours a day without any fatigue. There's no fatigue at all. If he can chant continuously 128 rounds, he can do it. He can easily do it. If he wants to hear Bhagavatam for 6 to 10 hours, he can do it. There is no fatigue at all. He is so much attached. This is possible in the stage of Ruchi. 24 hours he can be engaged. But there also, these two types are there. The Vastu Vaishishtya Apekshini is that stage where the devotee is dependent. He is having apeksha. He is having dependence on the excellence of the devotional elements. It means, like, just like I previously mentioned, if there is a Vrindavan kind of a situation, if there is no disturbance, then I can go on practicing bhakti without fatigue for 24 hours. If a particular type of Bhagavatam class is given, or if a particular type of devotee is giving a Bhagavatam class, or if a particular type of devotee is performing kirtan, or if a particular type of devotee is doing deity worship, then I can be engaged 24 hours in devotional service without any fatigue. That means my Ruchi stage is dependent on certain expectations of excellent elements, like expectations of perfect devotee or perfect person, who is engaging in the limbs of bhakti. Then only I will be able to. But there are other devotees who have no trace of such impurity, because this is called as impurity, expecting, a favorable situation. So, but those devotees who have no expectations of any favorable, excellent, what do you call, situations, who is always engaged 24 hours a day, very joyfully, he falls in this advanced stage of Ruchi. It is called as Vastu Vaishishtya Anapekshini. He has no apeksha. He is anapeksha. So these are the where, even without somebody having to be excellent, he goes into complete devotional service. Like we have examples in the Shastra where Mukunda Sarkar, he just sees a peacock feather being, waved to this Nawab Hussain, and then, he goes into ecstasy, he swoons. And then there is this example of Shrivas Thakur. He sees, Devanand Pandit, who does not know Bhagavatam properly. But just because, although he is not pure enough to discuss Bhagavatam properly, still, when Shrivas Pandit hears Devanand Pandit, he goes into ecstasy, he swoons, he starts crying. So they don't need a favorable person or a favorable situation to be always engaged. He's simply, all the time they are engaged in pure devotional service without, favorable symptoms. This is the stage of ruchi. And then there is asakti. Asakti is a stage of excessive attachment. This is the stage where the Lord appears in our heart and he disappears also. There's a reflection of the Lord appearing in our heart and he also disappears. So this is the stage of asakti. In the stage of bhava, the Lord is situated in the heart. We are able to see him. The Lord also reciprocates with us in the heart. The Lord also directs us in doing what we should do, what we should not do, how we should expand. So things like that, So like how Prabhupada got directions directly from the Lord in the heart, Paramatma, in expanding this mission. So in the stage of bhava, you can see the Lord, but in the stage of asakti, the reflection, the semblance of the Lord comes and goes. He comes and he goes. So this asakti is nothing but it is a mature stage of ruchi, nothing else. So in this, the only difference between the stage of ruchi and asakti is in the ruchi stage, uh, we become we don't realize, when our mind withdrew from the topics of the Lord. Like, we are continuously, let's say, hearing Bhagavatam for 10 hours, and suddenly the mind deviated and I spoke something about some material topic. So I don't realize when my mind withdrew from the topics of Lord. So that is a stage of ruchi. But asakti is an advanced stage of ruchi where we don't realize when did we actually withdrew from the when we withdrew from material topics, and since how long, how many months we have been engaged in bhakti, I'm not aware. When did I withdraw from material topics? I'm not aware. That could have been several months back. So that is a stage of asakti. That means he's continuously engaged 24 hours for several months. He is engaged in the topics of the Supreme Lord. So anybody who has a taste for reading, hearing, chanting continuously is actually in the stage of asakti. That's how it is. And then comes the stage of bhava. This is where, Bharat Maharaj, coming to the topic of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj had crossed over asakti also, and he was in the stage of bhava bhakti. So in bhava bhakti also, there are two types of bhakti. There is Vaidhi Bhava Bhakti and there is Raganuga Bhava Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhava Bhakti is coming from, Vaidhi Sadhana. And Raganuga Bhava Bhakti is coming from Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So even the devotees who are practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, they also enter into Bhava stage. Generally we see this in Shri Vaishnavas, Madhva Sampradaya. The word Raga Marga is only meant for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But the bhava for the Lord, the spontaneous loving attraction for the Supreme Lord, is present in all the devotees of all sampradayas. Everybody has spontaneous attraction. But the raga and the spontaneous attraction in the form of raga bhakti is only very exclusive to Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So the Vaidhi Bhava Bhakti, where the spontaneous attraction of devotee through the process of Vaidhi Bhakti, we predominantly see this in Purandar Das, Kanakadas, then Ramdas, Bhadrachalam Ramdas, or Annamaya, so many other devotees, Ramanujacharya. So they are having this bhava, spontaneous attraction. And then there is the Raga Bhava Bhakti, where spontaneous attraction in the mood of in the rasa, in that Vatsalya and Madhurya rasa is actually Raga Bhava Bhakti. Of course, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas also have Shanta, Dasya, Saka Bhava Bhakti. And we also have Raga Bhava Bhakti of Vatsalya and Madhurya, which alone can give entrance in the Golok Vrindavan. So not the other bhavas or the other rasas. So like that, this bhava stage, as it is mentioned in the translation and purport, Bharat Maharaj had all of these symptoms, all this within the bhava also, there are different emotions, like vibhava, anubhava, sthai bhav, Vyabhichari bhav, like that. There are different symptoms, how they experience the different types of emotions, along with the change, transformation in their body also, like change of color. It is called as Vaivarna. Only Mahaprabhu was able to display that. Nobody else could display the symptom of Vaivarna, which is also bhava only. It is sattvic bhav, ashta sattvic bhav. So like that, change of color, or horripilation, continuous tears. Here we can see Bharat Maharaj is showing the symptom of continuous tears flowing from his eyes, that he could not see anything. He couldn't see anything. And there are other Shveda, perspiration, intense perspiration. Uh, it's perspiration so much that it is drenching everybody around. And then there is swooning, not breathing and falling unconscious. Like that, there are so many other symptoms. So there are different components within the bhava stage. So, all the great souls, if we go into details, then you'll know all the devotees in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, they have experienced all these symptoms. Prahlad Maharaj experienced it. So when we read carefully, we will see all these symptoms are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So in spite of all this, in spite of reaching such an advanced stage, Bharat Maharaj, he fell from that stage to the stage of entering into the body of an animal. So many Vaishnavas mention it is because of aparadha anartha, because the aparadha anartha does not go away in the bhava stage also. The reaction of the aparadha, there is no aparadha there. It is the reaction of the aparadha which was committed during, even previous to bhajana kriya. So there is the reaction of that, because the reaction does not go away so easily. For some lifetime, we may have not asked any forgiveness from anybody, or we may have just ignored it, things like that. So from that stage, he came to the level of an animal. Not only him, so many other, Indradimna Maharaj became a Gajendra, then Vritrasura became, Chitraketu. Although he had attained the lotus feet of the Lord, he got into the body of a demon. Rupa Kaviraj, one of the Diksha gurus in Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, he got a body of a ghost after, an aparadh to a Vaishnava. So that way, the aparadha anartha is there. Even in bhava and prema stage, it is only 99.9%. It is not completely removed. Basically, the whole we can say the devotional service is more like a snake and ladder game. The regular track is, you go through the numbers 1 to 100, where, you go through several lifetimes of practicing bhakti, 30, 35 lifetimes. But if you want to go on fast track, you want to climb that ladder, then we can do that by pleasing the spiritual master. By following the spiritual master, by pleasing the spiritual master, by fulfilling the desires of the spiritual master, automatically Krishna becomes pleased. We get more mercy of the Lord. So that is like a ladder. But that is not enough. Climbing the ladder is good. But simultaneously, when we are not careful from committing aparadh to others, to any Vaishnava, then we risk coming down through that snake and, again beginning all over again. And definitely not that snake which is sitting on the number 99. So that is what happened with Bharat Maharaj, So he somehow, got stuck on the 99 square, and he came all the way down the body of an animal. But of course, the Lord is very merciful. It just took him another couple of lifetimes, and then he went back. This is again a Leela where, the Lord is teaching us through different devotees of his, how one has to be very careful. So what to speak of mortal human beings, even, the demigods are succumb, to all different types of anarthas or aparats. So one has to be very careful. I was also told to read the 13th verse. Sorry, we are running out of time. I'll quickly go through that. 13th verse. Ittam drita bhagavad brata aineyajina vasasanu savannabhishekardra कपिश कुटिल जटा कलापेन च विरोचमानः सूर्यर्चा भगवन्तं हिरण्मयं पुरुषम् उज्जिहाने सूर्यमण्डले अभ्युपतिष्ठन् एतदु उवाच. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Bharata appeared very beautiful. He had a wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deer skin. He worshipped Lord Narayana, whose body was composed of golden effulgence and who resided within the sun. Maharaj Bharata worshipped Lord Narayana by chanting the hymns given in the Rig Veda and he recited the following verse as the sun rose. Purport. The predominating deity within the sun is Hiranmaya, Lord Narayana. He is worshipped by the Gayatri mantra Om Bhur Bhaswar Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. He is also worshipped by other hymns mentioned in the Rig Veda. For instance, Dhyeyaha Sada Savitra Mandala Madhyavarti. Within the sun, Lord Narayana is situated and he has a golden hue. So, previous verses it is mentioned that he was a worshipper of Lord Vasudeva and he performed yagyas, giving oblations in the names of demigods to the different limbs of Vasudeva. And here it is mentioned that when he was practicing his austerity in the renounced order, he was actually meditating on Lord Narayana, who was there in the sun, that is Surya Narayana. The Surya Narayana is non-different from the Supreme Lord. He is Vishnu Tattva only. So now he is also known as Aditya because the 12 sons of Aditi are known as the 12 Adityas. They are all the sons of Kashyapa. So Vivaswan is the sun god who is also the Surya Narayan, and Vivaswan is one of the sons. But the other sons are not the sun god. The sun god, Vivaswan, has 12 different names when he is in the different sections, the 12 months of a year, when he is traversing, when he is traveling. That time he is having different names according to the qualities. So there is a whole, in the 5th canto only, there is one chapter called as the movements of the sun. Very nicely described, how when the sun enters the Makara Rashi, then, Uttarayan starts. And when the sun enters the Karkata Rashi, then, the Dakshinayana starts. And different months when it enters, the sun god has a different name. So like that, he is non-different from Surya Narayan. So even when we are chanting the Gayatri mantra, it is actually a worship of the Supreme Lord himself. We are not worshipping any demigod. So that should be the understanding. In fact, actually, I wanted to show, thanks to Vasudev Pran Prabhu, who had shared some wonderful pictures with me about the sun globe, where we could see the chariot of the sun god. And apparently, it is the chariot of the sun god. Prabhu, if you can give me the host access, I would like to share a picture of the sun globe where it depicts the, what do you call,
You can share, I think.
Surya Dev. Yeah. Mm. Okay. So if you see here, this is from one of the NASA space telescope, where they found that always they would find that, there's this object which looks like a bird with, with a fiery trail leaving behind. But this trail is not behind, but it is in the front. Because, when this object is moving around, the trail, the fiery trail that you see is actually in the front. That is actually being represented by the Valakilyas. There are 60,000 Valakilya rishis who are moving ahead of the sun's chariot. And this chariot is very huge, much bigger than the planet Earth itself. And then, of course, there are Gandharvas and Apsaras who are all, dancing in front of the chariot of sun god. And also, there is Aruni who is facing Lord Surya Dev, and driving the chariot. They also took another picture where they tried to cover the effulgence of the sun with a disk, just to see what they could see. They can see all the stars in the background. There are other stars also on the other side of the sun. But this object is still there. This is moving ahead, and the trail is in the front and not in behind. And yeah, they could see this multiple times. They were able to capture this picture. So they may be completely unaware of what it is and still figuring it out. But we have faint understanding that it appears to be like the chariot of the sun god, who is dragging the sun orbit also, which is moving on top of the Manasottara mountain. So around. So it's interesting, although I don't know if we can see through the naked eyes, but it's very interesting for us to look at it. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anybody has any comments, corrections, most welcome.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class. I think there were so many points that you covered. It was very enlightening, eye-opening, and also it is soul-searching class that we all went through, where we were getting answers for where we are based on the anarthas and all that. So that's a very wonderful thing. Thank you so much, Prabhu. In fact, I'm sure devotees will have some questions, so I'll reserve my question for later. So devotees, I would request you all to go ahead, and if there are any comments or questions, please go ahead. You can do that now. Okay. So Prabhu, this one question I had with respect to the anarthas.
Yes, Prabhu.
In fact, when we are in when the stage of Nishta, you're saying that the percentage of anarthas that are eliminated is 75. Is that what you were saying?
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So at Nishta, it is at 75, and then from there, then beyond that is.
Yeah.
But then it will never become 100%, because I think prema, which is here in the material world, is not 100%.
Correct. Yes.
And I've also read in Madhurya Kadambini that beyond prema also there are some stages, but that is not in this material world. It is in the spiritual world. It's in
right. Yeah. There is, in Mahabhav, there are different, Sneha, Pranaya, Mana, all of that. There are different stages there also. Different, types of Mahabhav in love of Godhead. Some are experienced by some devotees, but all of it is experienced only by, Radharani or Madhavendra Puri, somebody like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chakravarti Paths, he just mentions those names. He says like, there is no need, we'll not be able to describe those things here now, and we'll definitely not be able to understand or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Prabhu. And probably, is that why Prabhupada also said like 75% you're pure, then we'll take you back? 70, he said, yeah. So
Yeah.
you were saying indirectly that you come up to the stage of Nishta, at least from there, then I know you'll somehow be able to.
Exactly.
do
Our
something.
hope is not to go through all these squares. We need a ladder. So Srila Prabhupada is our ladder.
These are ladder.
Guru
Yeah.
Maharaj is our ladder. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ashok Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for wonderful
Thank you, Prabhuji.
nectarian class, Prabhuji. I have one question, Prabhuji. Typically, what we hear, Prabhuji, like the few devotees like Arjuna or other Pancha Pandavas, they were not actually illusioned, but Krishna put them in illusion through his yogic Maya potency, so that he can perform certain pastimes and he can teach lessons. So similarly, in case of Bharat Maharaj, he's such an exalted and pure devotee. So him, getting attracted to a deer and feeling compassionate and then falling down from such an exalted position, is
Yeah.
it his own fall down, or is it Lord creates, put him in that illusion through his yoga Maya? Prabhu?
Yeah. So both the versions are there, Prabhu. I've heard some devotees mention that it was the will of the Lord to teach all of us a lesson. And there are devotees who tell, no, it's because of the aparadha in the past. So why will, the Lord, to whom, Bharat Maharaj is so dear, okay, he can experience some difficulty to glorify him. Why put him into an animal body? So, that way, the argument is that if somebody is entering into so low as an animal body, probably it's because of the anartha, the aparadha anartha. This is the answer given. Bhanu Maharaj mentions it is because of the aparadha anartha. So, it could be both the versions. We see in case of Parikshit Maharaj, in the purport, Prabhupada says it was the supreme will of the Lord that he was cursed, so that, Bhagavatam can be given. In case of Indradyumna Maharaj, who became Gajendra, it is said that, the Lord was very eager to take him back to the spiritual world. And the same thing is applicable to Chitraketu also. He had directly had the vision of the Lord. He had taken the darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord, conversed with Lord Sankarshana, and for some apparent so-called offense of Lord Shiva, which is not really an offense because he was indirectly glorifying Lord Shiva, he entered into the body of a demon because the Lord didn't wanted him to waste his time with the ladies of Vidyadhara planet. He wanted him to quickly come back to him. So he made some quick arrangement so that he could. So it can be a combination of both, where of course in some cases it appears that Lord is directly controlling their life. In case of Bharat Maharaj, it could be a combination of both. That's my speculation, Prabhu. I hope if somebody has any more insight, can also share.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the insight.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so I think there are some in the chat. There are some comments. I think Sachitanaya Prabhu has said, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Thanks for the wonderful class. Mataji has said, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thanks, Prabhu, for the extensive explanation of the stages of sadhana bhakti. So those are some of the comments. I think very, very eye-opening and very wonderful class, Prabhu. So thank you so much. If there aren't any more questions or comments, then we can conclude today's session. So we can conclude it with Vaishnava Pranams. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava ki and Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So thank you, Prabhu. And devotees, thank you. So we will all meet up again tomorrow. I'll end the session for everybody. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day.